Hello, hello. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We are live now. I'm Emily from Quickly Hire, and I'm here with Lindsay Halsey from Pathfinder SEO. Hey, Lindsay, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you and to dig into the topic we have today. If you're watching, so we're live streaming right now on Quickly Hire Facebook and in the GoWP Digital Agency Owners community there. We're also on Quickly Hire LinkedIn and Quickly Hire YouTube. So if you're watching, I encourage you to follow or like or subscribe, whatever platform you're on, because we have a lot of these agency hours coming up. We've got more with Lindsay. We have some part 2 and part 3 of Chris Hines learning to use accessibility to grow revenue in your business. So we've got part 2 and part 3 of that coming up. So I really recommend subscribing and liking our channels. So you get alerted to those, and I'll also, of course, be sending emails out about it. But just so you know that they're coming up, and many of them are already scheduled, so you can check out on YouTube or LinkedIn our event schedule, and you can see what we have coming up. So yeah, as we can dive right in, I'll go ahead and get us started. So welcome to the Agency Hour presented by Quickly Hire. The Agency Hour is a space for agency owners to come together and learn from experts in their field. So these webinars are discussions and presentations, and they're designed to help you boost your revenue, sharpen your skills, and fuel growth in your business. So today we are joined by such an expert, and that is Lindsay Halsey. She's an SEO expert and co-founder of Pathfinder SEO. And we're going to be talking about building a recurring revenue engine based on the customer's hierarchy of needs today. But first, I want to talk a little bit about Quickly Hire. So Quickly Hire is the fastest way to add vetted freelancers to your team. At Quickly Hire, we understand the importance of assembling top-tier talent for your business. So whether you need a developer, a content marketer, designer, virtual assistant, and if you are on our mailing list, you probably have heard about this week, but we recently just added SEO experts there. We've got paid ad specialists, social media managers, and we've got some project managers coming in as well. So anything you need to help deliver these services that we're talking about on webinars like this, we're here to help. Our platform connects you with highly vetted freelancers who match your budget and requirements, ensuring you find the perfect fit for your team. Our freelancers work with you for a set number of hours weekly, and you pay a set monthly retainer. That's all. So we take care of all the sourcing, the vetting, the interviews, compliance, payroll, international fund transfers, and other administrative headaches that go along with hiring. You can reach out to us at quicklyhire.com to learn more. Today, as I said, we're joined by Pathfinder SEO co-founder Lindsay Halsey. Pathfinder SEO is a software that gives agencies a system to market, sell, and deliver SEO services without feeling overwhelmed. With Pathfinder SEO, you can increase your recurring revenue, close more sales, and get closer to your clients and empower your junior team members to deliver SEO services in a scalable way. So welcome, Lindsay. It's great to have you back, and I'm really excited to dig into the topic today.
Thanks so much, Emily. Thanks for having me here. And I'm really excited to talk about a topic I'm quite excited about, as I know you all are, which is building recurring revenue in our agencies. Because ultimately, that recurring revenue model is what allows us freedom and flexibility, stability, scalability, so many things in our agency. And there are a lot of great ways to do it. And today I really want to focus on one lens or one angle that you can think about building this recurring revenue engine. And that lens is all about the customer's hierarchy of needs. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here and walk you through what we're talking about. So let's just make sure everything's up and running. It is. And I want to start with a story, and it's not a positive story. It's a story about lost MRR. So my background is in the world of SEO and Google Ads as a co-founder of an agency, Webshine, that's been around for about 14 years now. And being 14 years in, having a really stable and growing business, we felt pretty confident in the delivery of our SEO and Google Ads services. But last year, we had a client that we brought on board, looked at as being a very straightforward campaign, and then lost them. And so what happened essentially was the reason we kind of considered this straightforward was because our prospect and customer, basically, they knew their target audience, and that target audience was focused. So they had a service. In this case, it was all about IT services. They know who they wanted to get in front of, what their problems were, what their needs were and their services, and where they were located. So it was a relatively straightforward campaign that was really kind of almost just a local SEO campaign. But to really add value here, what got us excited about working with them was that they also had a really good budget. They understood that the keyword space was reasonably expensive in Google Ads. They understood that SEO was a long-term game that would take a few months to get some momentum going. And they were 110% on board. And so they came to us, asked for the services. We brought them on board. We worked with them for 6 to 8 months. I'd have to look back for the exact amount of time. And then they were gone. And so the question is, well, what went wrong? We certainly had to think a bit about it. And what went wrong in this place was that traffic increased and we were in front of the right audience, but that traffic wasn't converting. And why it wasn't converting was because the website was highly outdated. It didn't have a good user experience. And essentially we were seeing, engaged quality traffic not turn into conversions and leads. And so the customer decided to reinvest their marketing budget instead of SEO and Google Ads into something that was more independent from their website, which was just general outreach sales, like cold calling businesses in their area. And so they decided to put Google Ads and SEO services on hold. And they also weren't ready to invest in that new website or conversion optimization and usability and the other things that would have helped them there. So we understood what went wrong, and that's a big part of the puzzle. And we see this happen time and again with customers. A big part of what went wrong was that they invested in the wrong service, the right service at the wrong time. So they invested in SEO and Google Ads at a time where they should have been investing in improved usability and user experience for their website and an updated design. And if they had done that first and then invested in SEO and Google Ads, we would be in a really different place right now. And I call this a recurring story because you've probably seen it time and time again. You see the WordPress site owner who pays $1,000 a month for SEO, but doesn't have a WordPress care plan. And this just doesn't make sense. Their website needs to be cared for. Plugins need to stay up to date, security and hosting and everything else that goes into keeping a site healthy is first and foremost before we start investing in driving more traffic to the website. So we see that happen. We see businesses that want cheap hosting, but their website is mission critical to their revenue. So we have a customer who insists on paying for really cheap WordPress hosting. It goes down. They have other issues, and yet they're an e-commerce website. They can't make money if their website isn't live, and so there is this sort of disconnect between where marketing dollars and marketing efforts are going. Or sometimes we see customers who invest in SEO, but maybe would have been better with a Google Ads campaign because they need immediate results. They're looking to drive sales today, and they may have some immediate needs that Google Ads would be the best fit for. And so we see this issue, and when we see this issue, it also impacts our business when our clients sort of get out of order or invest their marketing budget in the wrong places. And the impact it has on our businesses is that in the short run, we may pick up revenue. We may pick up a new client, a new project, and serve that client's immediate need. But in the long run, it rarely leads to positive and consistent monthly recurring revenue or MRR, because you go back to that story of this client where, yeah, at first it seemed great. We got to work with them, but in the end, they only stayed with us 6 or 8 months. It would have been quite different if we had worked with them to first solve their website needs and get them polished up, so to speak, and then moved over to SEO and Google Ads, because they'd still be a client today, and that would build our MRR. So we watch as customers are constrained by their marketing budget and then often invest these limited dollars in the wrong place at the wrong time. And one of the things that we can do to add value for our clients is help steer them in the right direction. And add value for our agency is to make sure our customers are investing in the right services at the right time. So how do we do that? And this is a lot about what I consider the concept of building a recurring revenue engine. And I'm going to give you 3 different tips on how to do this. And all three of them will relate back to our original story because they would have saved us had we done things right. So the first suggestion is to ask the right questions. And asking questions and getting to know our clients, it really begins in the sales process. So when you're on a discovery call, whether it's to talk about a new website project or an SEO initiative or email marketing, we want to ask our prospect the right questions. And the right questions are going to help us to create a project scope that meets their goals. But asking the right questions is also going to be really paramount into getting to know their goals and their destination. And so when you think about the kind of questions people ask on sales calls, they include phrases like, can you provide an overview of your company? Or what products and services do you offer? What sets you apart from your competitors? What are your current marketing strategies and which is most successful? What's worked well in the past for marketing your business? What hasn't worked? How do you track and measure the success of your marketing efforts? Who's involved in our collaboration? And can you provide access to a portal like Google Analytics or something so I can look under the hood? And I look at these questions and I think about how many years at our agency, our sales calls sounded just like this, pretty bland and pretty boring. And yet we continue to kind of have our little checklist of 10-ish questions that we asked in the sales process. And there were a couple issues here with these questions. The first is there's no differentiation because all of the other, your prospect is probably talking to multiple agencies or multiple web designers. And when they're speaking with them in the sales process, they're jumping on similar calls, spending 20, 30 minutes getting to know the business. And they're getting asked exactly these questions. And so when they walk away from, say, interviewing 3 different agencies and they've had 3 of very similar conversations, there's no differentiation in the marketplace. And that leaves you to basically only being able to close the deal based on things like price, because everybody else is sort of taking that same approach. So that's one thing I don't like about these questions, is just that they're too commonplace. The other thing that I don't like about it is that they don't place enough time and emphasis on the 2 things that really matter. And when I get to know a prospect's business, I really only need to know 2 things. The first is I need to know their pain. What have they done in the past around whatever service they're interested in? And what is kind of their current place? What is their problem language around where they are today? So if you ask in a sales question to kick things off, how have you approached, in my case, it's always SEO in the past. So how have you approached SEO in the past? You're likely to hear from the customer about stories of pain. They may answer something along the lines of, we've never invested in SEO because we've always been overwhelmed that it's ever changing and really unknown, and it feels like too much of a gamble. So that is giving you a really good sense of where that customer is today. They're risk adverse. They need to build some comfort before they're ready to invest in SEO and understanding. And they're worried about it being too much of a gamble, and they're going to need you to help them navigate through that. Somebody else's answer might be, hey, we've been doing SEO in-house, but we don't really think we're seeing a lot of returns. We've been blogging for 2 years and we've put a tremendous amount of effort in. We publish a blog post a month, but we don't really think we're getting anything out of it. Well, this is a different story because they're investing time without getting return. And so they are investing a lot of money and they're not seeing a return. And so saving them time and making sure that the work that you do invest and the budget they do dedicate to SEO leads to results is going to be a big part of the sales process. And as a third example, in the world of pain, you often hear about people who were burned by an SEO agency in the past. So I invested in SEO for a year. I worked with an agency. I have no idea what they did. All I know is how much they charged me, and I don't think I saw anything from it. And so they may feel a little bit burned or jaded by the industry as a whole. When you ask questions about that elicit pain, like how have you approached something in the past, it's really going to inform your sales process, how you actually sell to them the ongoing service. It's also going to help you to understand essentially the big picture of what you're trying to solve for them. You're trying to move them out of that position of pain. And the next, question that you can ask is all about destination. And this is not just what are you trying to achieve? Like, oh, I want more leads or I want more revenue, but we want to go a little loftier. We want to try to move into this space of the destination being something like, what would your business look like if? And then you could say your traffic from SEO doubled. Or you were to generate 3 times as many leads on your website as you are today. This gets the prospect really thinking about their business goals, the big picture. And so in that IT services company, they may have told us about being able to hire a bigger team or keep their existing team busier. They might have been talking about being able to have the space and the bandwidth and the revenue to build a new services offering. They may talk about opening up a new location and serving a new target geography. The destination is going to be different for every business. And so understanding the pain and the destination allows us to not only sell our services better and create differentiation, but it also allows us to ask the question, is the service I'm selling going to move them from the place of pain to the destination? And so if you ask good questions here, you can understand that they came to you perhaps because they wanted SEO services, and their frustration is they don't have enough lead generation on their website, and they're trying to grow because they have this vision or this goal, but they think they want SEO services, and you can start to redirect their attention to the fact that maybe they actually need, to work on the usability and design of their website. Maybe they need something more immediate like Google Ads before they invest in SEO. It really opens up the door to become a strategic partner right out of the gate. And so asking the right questions is going to really make sure that we don't just sell to clients what it is that they came to us for. So a lot of times our prospects come to us thinking they need one thing because maybe they were at a Chamber of Commerce kind of business meetup and they talked to people that talked about how a certain marketing strategy was going really well for them. And so now all of a sudden they've become totally convinced that that's where they need to invest their money. And by asking the right questions, we can make sure that that's really a valid idea and that we're moving in the right direction right out of the gate with the sales process. The next piece is all about strategically packaging your services. And so if you have been in any of my trainings, you'll know that we always start in terms of building a new services line and thinking about growing recurring revenue with packaging. Because we've really found in our agency that packaging is everything. If we get the packaging of our services right, it makes them easy to price, easy to market, easy to sell, and easy to deliver. It makes them scalable in the long run. And when you think about packaging digital services, you immediately go into a mindset of a bundled service model. When I talk about bundled services, what I'm talking about is basically adding in and packaging up services in a way that you have a multi-tiered offering, kind of good, better, best, but then that you layer in things like everybody needs hosting and maintenance and content updates. And then in your higher tiered plans, maybe you add in accessibility and SEO and Google Ads or something like this. And so when you think about building packaging, this is where our mindset immediately goes. And what we find is that it's really hard to build a bundled services packaging model that looks like this, that really actually properly serves our customers. And we run into a couple of issues. And I think about when I moved homes about, I guess now it's been many years, like almost 10 years ago. And I needed to get new internet and cable set up. So I wanted cable TV and then fast Wi-Fi so that I could work from home. And I called our local services provider and said, I need essentially 2 services from you. And they offer 3 services. They also have landlines. And I'm like, oh, I don't need a landline. Well, the salesperson was constantly pushing me into a package that included a landline, even though I didn't need one, and trying to reassure me that the pricing was better if I paid for all 3 than if I just paid for the 2 I needed, and I could just not use the service I didn't need, which was the landline. And I consider myself, relatively good prospective customer working with the salesperson on the call. But at the end of the day, I just couldn't get around from the idea that it doesn't feel good to pay for a service you don't utilize. And so if you're trying to sell bundled services to a client and they say, but I don't want Google ads. And you say, well, that's okay. The better plan is still the best thing for you because you do need SEO and you do need accessibility. There's still going to be a part of their mindset that feels like they're overpaying for the service because they're not utilizing your bundled services fully. The other challenge with this bundled services packing model is that the destination is different for every business. So sometimes when you think about this bundled service model and you think about an agency that serves one target market, like really specific, maybe you only work with interior designers. And so you start to get more tempted that this bundled services model really works because all of your clients have the same kind of business. They're local businesses and they provide similar services. Maybe they're all over the country, so location changes, but otherwise, they're really similar. You start to think, well, I can build a bundled services model for those interior designers effectively because I'm working with all of the same business types. And so I'll build a bundled service model for interior design. And what we find there, though, is that even if you are super niche and you're working with all of the same business types, not all of those business types are trying to get to the same destination. So we work with a handful of different interior design businesses on SEO and Google Ads. And for them, the destination is quite different. One interior design business simply wants to show up and have good brand recognition. So they just want to have like really highly and tightly controlled search results when people search for them by brand name, including the names of their designers, because they have a highly visual product and they want that experience, that tight control to come right out of the gate. So they run a small, very focused Google Ads campaign just on their brand name, and we do just SEO maintenance for them and reporting. And their destination is one thing, that is their goal. We work with another interior design service that is looking for lead generation. They are relying on their website to generate prospective new customers. And so they're investing at a higher level because they really need to get in front of a new audience. They need to nurture that audience and bring them forward. And so their destination is quite a bit different than that first example. And so because this destination is different for every business, and we want to be able to meet our customers with the right service at the right time, at the right price, so that we're a good partner and we grow our agencies, this bundled service model doesn't work quite as well. But that doesn't mean we can't follow a packaging framework, that we can't build out a system behind our packaging. And when I think about this system, I think about categorizing services into 3 phases. And so for every service your agency offers, I would argue that it would fall into one of these 3 categories. The service, there's a planning phase, a getting ready essentially, a building phase, and then a maintenance and growth phase. So we plan, we build, and then we maintain and grow. And for most of our businesses, the plan and build phases are going to be one-time kind of project-based services. And then the maintain and grow is where that monthly recurring revenue model comes into play more significantly. And so if you're selling web design, you have paid discovery, that's your plan. You have your design and build, actually building the website, and that's going to be that build phase. And then you have hosting and maintenance as an example of your ongoing packaging that's going to help them maintain and grow their website. If you layer in a growth marketing service like SEO on top of maintaining their website, you're going to layer in essentially another services packaging option. And SEO services also follow this plan, build, and grow model. We do an SEO assessment. This is a paid project that looks at the key dynamics of where a website is today and where it wants to go and creates that strategic roadmap for growth. That's the planning phase. Then we have the build phase. This is where we do what we call an SEO setup. We go in and put in all the SEO infrastructure, and we tackle the low-hanging fruit and sort of the SEO basics on a website to make sure we're putting our best foot forward right out of the gate. And then we move into monthly SEO, which is all about maintenance and evolution. And so our packaging follows the same flow, whether it's a new website, SEO, and it goes plan, build, maintain, and grow. And now we can even look at other services. And so you can think about Google Ads. And again, we can have Google Ads strategy, then a Google Ads setup to actually build the account, and then move into the monthly maintenance and the monthly management of that Google Ads campaign. And so following this kind of packaging model, you can imagine how that we can get our packaging into a place where we do have a packaging system. We have a flow of how our projects go, and we can give the right service to the right client at the right price and really build a recurring revenue engine, because all of our services still kind of rely on that monthly maintenance and monthly growth plan. So this is going to allow us to get our customers to their destination while also growing our MRR for the years to come. And I should go back to this slide here, because one question I've gotten before in talking about this is, do we not recommend sort of a good, better, best type model and bundling services at all? And the reality is, we do recommend this good, better, best concept when it comes to monthly services, and it could apply to other pieces of the offering. And so in the world of SEO, you may have your monthly SEO offering as having a good, better, best approach, but the items going down the left-hand side are all are of this chart, where it's hosting, maintenance, content, updates, accessibility. They're all dedicated to this service of SEO. So monthly SEO services might have reporting and communication, content marketing, technical SEO, on-site optimization, etc. You may still structure your services packaging to have some choice, because again, not everybody is going to need the same monthly offering. But it's keeping our services essentially in a way that they're modular enough that you can help a client sort of get what they need. Like, they need updated website, and then they need SEO, and then they're going to layer in Google Ads, or they're going to focus on a new website and then accessibility and then email marketing. And so you want to be able to kind of have those modular parts to your packaging, because that's what brings you back to this idea that now it's easy to price, easy to market, easy to sell, and easy to deliver. And even more importantly, we're solving the right client problem for our client at the right time. And it kind of all comes together. So that's quite a bit about packaging services, which is kind of step number 2 here. And when you walk away from this and you imagine working on the packaging for your services at your agency, the first feeling tends to be overwhelmed, because if you're going to offer multiple services and you might be a solopreneur or have a small team, the first feeling you get is overwhelm. I can't do all of this. I can't be an expert at SEO and web design and development and email marketing and accessibility. There's just so many skills here. I don't have the time to master them all, or I just simply don't really want to. And the reality is, you don't have to do it all to offer the right service to the right client at the right time. And so at our agency, we only offer SEO and Google Ads services. We have no web design, no web development. We don't do email marketing. We don't do social media. The list of things we don't do is more extensive. And so what we've done is that we've created partnerships. And so when we have a prospect that needs something that doesn't fit into our wheelhouse, we can leverage partners, and we can pass that as a referred lead over to a partner. And then the client can come back to us when they're ready. And so in that original example with that IT services company, we wished we had identified the real most important next thing that they needed to invest in with their marketing, referred them to one of our amazing design and development partners. And then 2 or 3 months later, they would have been ready to invest in SEO and Google Ads with us. And we would have still had that client here today with us. And so creating those partnerships in industry spaces, which come from being parts of communities like this, is a big part of how we don't have to wear every hat. We can refer business to each other. You can also rely on contractor and white label services. And so if there's something that you do want to keep in-house as the client pays you and works with your account managers, but you don't actually want to be the one to to do the tactical work to deliver the service. You can work with contractors, you can use white labeled services, et cetera. Keep it under your umbrella without necessarily putting it on your own plate. And platforms like Quickly Hire are going to be really great opportunity spaces if you're looking to scale and grow, and same with GoWP, by leveraging contractors and white label services and essentially kind of building a team. And then ultimately, you can always say no to a lead. Not everything is a perfect fit, and we don't have to design a packaging model that simply works for everybody under the sun that comes to our business. It's okay to say no to a lead and to walk away. My final tip for you is to speak up early and often about concerns. And so at our agency, we try to remember kind of some of the key times that we need as account managers to be speaking up. The first is when we think clients are investing in the wrong service at the wrong time, which we've spent a lot of time talking about here today. Because if we let the client know, hey, we think we're investing in the wrong place or at the wrong time, here's where we think your marketing dollars would be better spent, you're going to build a tremendous amount of trust by being really transparent and honest with them. The other time we like to reach out is if we're not seeing the expected initial results. This can be really critical with both SEO and Google Ads services because it's not a perfect science. It's an art too. And so we may have worked with multiple businesses, in a certain situation. I remember walking a client through a domain change. I've worked with, dozens of businesses that have changed domains over the years to try to help them mitigate SEO loss. And I can still work with somebody and we may not see the expected initial results. Maybe the drop was more precipitous, it lasted longer, or it had some unforeseen impact. These are times to reach out and to build trust with our clients, because retaining our monthly clients is a big part of how we build recurring revenue. It never feels good at our agency where you add on a new client in the same time where you lose an existing one and your MRR stays flat. The sale doesn't feel good. The loss of the client doesn't feel good. So retaining a client is really key when it comes to growing and your MRR. And you can do so even in times of down results by reaching out. If your client all of a sudden becomes unresponsive to emails, that's a good signal that it might be time to reach out. Or if they're not paying invoices on time. So just kind of keeping these timing points, and you may think of others, really top of mind at your agency in terms of working with your account managers to know sort of when is the time to be proactive, goes a long way. And with all of these, we have to avoid falling into a trap. And it's a really easy trap that I fall into, I'd say, like once a day, which is don't assume the why. Ask questions. So if a client stops paying invoices on time, in my head, I instantly come up with a reason why they're not paying their invoices. They've run out of money. They don't like our services. The wrong person is receiving the email with the invoices. I need to change invoicing systems. My invoices aren't, easy enough to pay, or whatever it might be. In our head, there are so many different reasons why, and it gets really easy to just silo and instantly think, oh, it's because of this. But the reality is we don't really know why a client suddenly becomes unresponsive to email or doesn't pay an invoice on time. We don't want to assume the why. We want to ask questions. The same if they come to us and they say, I want to invest in SEO services for my business. And we ask, okay, why? And they tell us, oh, well, I talked to somebody and they said it really helped them in their e-commerce business, during the holiday sales season. And we say, yeah, it makes total sense. But let's talk and dig into that a little bit more and ask more why questions. Because the reality is that business that was successful, they probably invested in SEO for many months in advance. They didn't start investing in SEO on November 1st when they're trying to promote a sale that starts November 15th. They would use different marketing tactics there. So don't assume the why and ask questions. The other tip is to change the outreach method. Instead of an email, pick up the phone. And this is something that I also need on like a sticky note on my desk, because it is just so easy to sit behind our computer and fire off a quick email. So if a client is behind on paying their invoices or hasn't responded, to some content that we have for their approval, it's really easy to just say, okay, great. Then I'm just going to send them another email and ask again, hey, can you approve this content? But it didn't work once. It may not work again. And so if we change the outreach method, we can quickly get to the why and understand, oh, they're just really busy, or, oh, they've been on vacation, or whatever might be happening. So the other tip kind of under this idea of reaching out early and often is to not hide down results. We want to ask clients questions about their real world business results. And this can be really true when it comes to looking at Google Analytics data and seeing what's happening in the traffic. So I have a client right now that had invested in SEO with an agency for many years, and the agency created this very general area information content on their website. So they took all these cities and they created like guides to those cities. But this client doesn't work in the travel industry. They're actually another IT services client. So they're trying to get in front of like business owners that need a new IT services partner, like an outsourced partner. And so getting random traffic from Google when somebody types in like, is Denver, Colorado a good place to live, or what to do in Denver, it's kind of a needle in a haystack. If one of those people landing on those blog posts that are about the city of Denver would actually be a good fit for their services, since their services are very specific and their target audiences. So they have high volumes of traffic to their website, and this is the only thing they've done for marketing. So sessions look high because of all these blog posts, but the blogs are totally off topic and serve no business value. And so they're in that situation, and why they moved to us was they have a lot of traffic, but no leads. And we actually took down all of that content. So results are quickly in the short run going to go down because there was no value to that content. And we really want to show Google their expertise in their subject matter, which is IT services. So we're creating content in this other space, but this other space is much smaller. And so even when we do rebound, we're going to have a relatively low number of sessions, but a high conversion rate. And so we're going to need to really have these conversations with our client to see what their lead generation looks like, because it's not going to be super telling just in the session data of Google Analytics what's going on in their business. And so when results are down in a platform like Analytics, it's really helpful to not just make assumptions that the client's real world business is also down, because maybe they got the one really amazing lead that they needed last month, and that lead paid for your services for an entire year. And you can't necessarily get that sort of insight just from analytics data. A lot of that comes from meeting with our customers and talking to them about their real world business results. So whenever I'm meeting with customers, I start the conversation not in our monthly report and in the data. I start it casually to ask them about how's business, what are you up to, what are you seeing, how's lead generation, et cetera, because I want to get a big picture sense of how things are going. And then I can see if I'm seeing that echoed in the data and let them know what the data is supporting. Like, oh, we see the same thing in the data. Let me show you your report. Or, hey, interestingly, I'm really glad to hear business is good. Last month, there were some down statistics in analytics. Let's look at those together and talk more about the why. So we've covered a lot, and it's all under this theme of building a recurring revenue engine. And building a recurring revenue engine involves a couple of key points. The first is that you ask the right questions, and that starts in the beginning, because asking the right questions helps to make sure we give the right client the right service at the right time at the right price. So that's stepping stone number one. The second is, to be able to do that, we need to have strategically packaged our services in a way that we can give the client the right service at the right price, et cetera, at the right time. So packaging is key. And then next is that we want to retain our clients, and we retain them with really good communication. So we want to speak up early and often about any concerns so that we have the engine of growth happening on the one side with our sales and our marketing, and then we have the engine of retention happening on the other side, where we're really maintaining our current customers. And that's what leads to building this recurring revenue engine. And when you have the engine built, it really starts to feel like the wind is at your back in your agency. And that's not always what it feels like as business owners. There's times it feels like the wind is at our face. We're facing an uphill challenge. But when these three pieces sort of come together, that's for us in our agency when we felt like, hey, I've got a business here, and the wind is at our back in terms of growth, and we're really moving in the right direction. We've got this engine rolling. So we're about 40 minutes in here. I want to leave you with my contact information. You're always welcome to reach out about questions, and I'm always happy to chat more about this topic and sort of the business side of growing an agency. But then also where I really spend most of my time is in the world of SEO and providing SEO services. So thank you so much. And Emily, I'll pop over into the chat and we can see what kinds of questions folks might be having.
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. That was fantastic. I haven't seen any questions come in. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. Those get fed into us here, so it doesn't matter where you're watching. We'll see those. So if you have questions for Lindsay, let us know. But I loved it, Lindsay, and I really liked the takeaway. For me, the big one is kind of, just start asking questions, figure out what it is your clients want, right? And what they need, and then kind of guiding them to what they should want as well, right? I like the example of an e-commerce website who wanted super cheap hosting, and that's probably not the best plan for them, right? So I thought that was really great and really important advice also.
And these are all probably things that in this audience, we all already know. So I have a feeling many folks are going to walk away today not necessarily feeling like they learned something brand new, a new concept. For us, this is just sort of that baseline, how to build an agency, how to offer the right service at the right time, that we feel like we do sometimes have to relearn or redo or rethink about and kind of keep top of mind.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Because like you said, it's easy to get stuck behind your computer screen and forget the difference it makes to pick up the phone and dial a number and talk to somebody. It's so easy to send out a Zoom link and try to schedule calls and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, just as an example, I've been calling a bunch of local businesses here, not for work, but as a member of my local school's PTO, and asking for donations and that sort of thing. And I can send emails all day long, but if I pick up and even better, if I actually go and walk in and buy a coffee from the coffee shop and say, hey, would you be willing to donate a gift card? It makes such a big difference.
Well, it sounds like our lives right now are very in parallel, because when I'm not working at Webshine and Pathfinder, I'm also helping my schools like silent online auction. And I did just that yesterday. I sent out 20 emails to local businesses. They all said the same thing. And, I will have my own little test here of what my conversion rate looks like. And then I thought, hey, this Saturday, I really should just print these things out and walk around town, have coffee and, kind of goof around for the day anyways. And, but the creating that relationship and taking that time, is really, a super valuable inroads. And so, we can't, as much as we love email in some ways, because it's easy, it doesn't do quite the same job.
Exactly. And especially if you're, a lot of agency owners watching this are probably serving, e-commerce brands and that sort of thing. But if your customers aren't e-commerce, maybe they want to see you and want to hear from you on the phone, and they don't check their emails 500 times a day like we do, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I loved that takeaway from this, and finding out what it is your customers want, what your clients need, and creating offers based on that. So I think it's really fundamental stuff, but it's important to remember as well.
Absolutely. So awesome. Well, thank you for having me here. And I haven't seen any questions come in either. Am I missing anything?
No, I think we're good. So again, if you have questions, you can email them to me also, Emily@quicklyhire.com. We'll continue to have Lindsay back for more great SEO knowledge, expertise, experience, all of that kind of thing. So if you have any questions, SEO-based questions for Lindsay, you can email, you can drop them in our Facebook group if you're there, drop them on the comment if you're watching this recording, and we'll get those in the next session. So thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you everyone who did tune in live. It was wonderful having you here. And thanks everyone watching the recording as well. It's great to have you stop by. Thanks, Lindsay. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.